Good morning. I'm Dr. Aisha Elamine. I served as co-lead on Criterion 3, and I'll let my co-lead introduce himself.
Sure, I'm Eric Schwarzy, a co-lead on Criterion 3, the writer for Criterion 3, a writer for Criterion 4, and I'm one of 3 Higher Learning Commission peer reviewers on the panel, and I'm rubbing elbows with the other 2.
Thank you. So just to begin introducing Criterion 3, it is all about the teaching and learning enterprise at UIC, the quality, the resources, and support. More specifically, it has 4 components. The institution provides quality education whenever and however its offerings are delivered. Eric and I will toggle between the 4 components, which include 3A, the rigor of our academic offerings. 3B, the institution's offerings programs that engage students in collecting, analyzing, communicating information, as well as mastering modes of intellectual inquiry or creative work. Then there's 3C, that the institution has both faculty and staff needed for the effective and high quality programs and services that we offer. And our last core component of this criterion is the institution provides support for student learning and resources to ensure effective teaching. Part of what we wanted to ensure we did, as our other colleagues have, is to both offer gratitude and showcase the folks that did work on this criteria with us. We have some of our team members listed here, but of course we reached out to many of you that are in the audience, both online and in person, and we thank you for consulting us on this criterion.
All right, so moving on to criterion or core component 3A, I first should say, if you notice that list on that slide was very large. That's because Criterion 3 is ridiculously encompassing. It really touches on all aspects of teaching and learning and support for teaching and learning. So infrastructure, advising, policies around supporting our faculty and staff as a university. In some ways, it's an insurance argument inside of an assurance argument. And so by necessity, we've had to reach out to many people listed there and beyond. 3A itself is an emphasis on consistency and rigor. So the institution provides quality education wherever and however its offerings are delivered. Specifically, courses and programs are current and require levels of student performance appropriate to the credential awarded. The institution articulates and differentiates learning goals for its undergraduate, graduate, post-baccalaureate, postgraduate, and certificate programs. The institution's program quality and learning goals are consistent across all modes of delivery in all locations. So this presentation today was titled something along the lines of what the assurance argument says about us. I think for 3A, we're able to give a very clear and strong answer. What it says is we're very intentional about curricular processes. Part of that's by necessity, because the Illinois Board of Higher Education makes sure of that, but part of that is the processes that we have put in place and the extent to which we've really put curriculum in the hands of faculty and, of course, into all the stages, therefore, faculty governance. We also can point to the fact that at least we do have clear learning goals. Some of those are at the program level. Some of those are our course learning outcomes. Some of those are built into the general education program. So we can provide examples that those goals do indeed inform how we build curriculum. And then we do have quite a lot of emphasis on this item in trying to assure the reviewers that yes, when we do offer material online, when we offer it across the other locations associated with the university, and when even we have our much smaller footprint in area high schools to do dual credit programs, it's the same product. It's the same quality. It's often the same syllabus and the same faculty. So to get into some of those specifics, as far as the governance process, and some folks are very familiar with that. Obviously, if you know who I am as far as the context of the university, you know that Dana Wright and I spend all day and all night working on these sorts of things. So specifically, we can point to, again, the stages that curriculum goes through. where we're able to provide examples in the assurance system, both of the forms, but actual proposals that show that there's work happening at the college level, as far as the department vetting of curriculum, moving up through the faculty and educational policy committees. We're able to point to the role of committees like the Graduate College Executive Committee or the Senate Committee on Educational Policy or the General Education Council. And of course, the journey then through the Senate, through the Senate's conference, and up through sometimes the University of Illinois Board of Trustees and the Illinois Board of Higher Education. So again, we're able to just show that it's very regimented. The questions we are asked and have to be accountable for when proposing curriculum or curriculum revisions drives reflection. So they include questions on student success and on diversity and on how to make sure that our programs are producing successful outcomes. As far as other aspects of 3A, also touches on a range of standard academic policies in place, everything from credit hour policy to how do you define different degree levels or course numbering. Includes attention, again, to learning goals, so specifically that our general education program is driven by these specific outcomes and that any course qualifying for any general education category speaks to that. We also included some attention to what we place in syllabi and the resources available through CATE in order to help faculty, again, articulate their vision for the course to the students. Beyond that, as I said, is attention to our online footprint, so discussion of the extended campus, discussion of also the college's role in offering online courses or online programming. There is attention using particularly examples from the College of Nursing or the College of Pharmacy for how we can assure that, again, we have similar rigor and quality when we offer programs at other locations throughout the state for the university. And as I mentioned, although we only have a handful of dual credit programs, we do have well-defined agreements with the Chicago Public Schools whenever we offer a course bearing college credit inside one of the local high schools.
For core component 3B, there are 4 subcomponents, and that core component states that the institution offers programs that engage students in collecting, analyzing, communicating information, and mastering the modes of intellectual inquiry or creative work, while also developing skills adaptable to changing environments. When I look at the 4 subcomponents under that 3B component, the first talks about the general education program and making sure that it is appropriate to the mission. And again, you can see these things are building on each other, right? When we started with the mission, but it keeps going back to the mission, the educational offerings and degree levels of the institution. It also talks about the articulation of the purposes and content of the intended learning outcomes in its undergraduate general education requirements. Subcomponent 2 is the program of general education is grounded in a philosophy or a framework developed by the institution or adopted from an established framework, and that it imparts broad knowledge and intellectual concepts to students and develops skills and attitudes that the institution believes every college educated person should possess. And some of the things that we highlighted under those 2 things were the skills and learning outcomes, our first year writing program, and some examples of the general education core courses. One of UIC's strategic priorities of student experience and success commits the university to creating a learning environment where all students are supported, equipped for success, both in their academic and postgraduate endeavors. And so we also talked about the university writing requirements and the demonstration of proficiency in English through passing our English core courses. We use examples of the general education core and how we participate in the Illinois Articulation Initiative, which facilitates our transfer in general education credit. That was some of the things that we talked about under 3B1 and 3B2. When we look at subcomponent 3B3, that's a lot of 3s and Bs. The education offered by the institution recognizes the human and cultural diversity and provide students with growth opportunities and lifelong skills to live and work in a multicultural world. And so, again, that's a theme that you'll see run throughout the HLC argument, our attention to diversity. And so we had many things to cite in that area. One of those was the diversity in campus initiatives and programs. While some of them are listed here, you must know that the word count was our biggest problem, right? Because we have so much to offer in the ways of human and cultural diversity at UIC. Some of the examples that we gave in that area were our study abroad, the dialogue initiative, our 7 centers for cultural understanding and social change, our 12 success units that fall under Office of Student Success and Belonging, the career services. So that's why all of these people from all of these units we talk to. So when we say many more, we really do mean many more. Our 4th subcomponent under 3B is the faculty and students contribute to scholarship, creative work, and discovery of knowledge to the extent appropriate to the offerings and the institutional mission. And so we cited several programs under that. Some of the research-related ones you may be familiar with are Las Ganas and DeSable. We'll move on now.
So 3C takes the cake for the most subcomponents. It had 7 different items to address. They range from how do we ensure diversity within our faculty and our staff? Do we have a sufficient number of faculty? Do we see to faculty qualifications? Do we have methods for evaluating teaching and for professional development for faculty? Are we intentional about making sure that faculty members are accessible for student inquiry? And then finally, especially for those individuals who are student-facing in staff offices like related to advising or student financial aid, do we have clear ethics codes and training to make sure that they're at their very best in working with students and have professional development opportunities? So that's the omnibus here. Again, the formal label is the institution has the faculty and staff needed for effective, high-quality programs and student services. So I think when you ask the question here, what does this say about us? I think it says both about us, that again, on one hand, we're very intentional about putting resources in place to address each of these functions. But on this, in 3C, we also note some areas where we're working to improve. So to give just a small nugget for each of these, because again, there's a lot with here. For faculty and staff diversity, of course, as far as our professional staff and civil service staff, the university is already a very diverse place, mirroring our students in that respect and mirroring the city of Chicago. In terms of faculty, while we have a comparatively diverse faculty to most universities in the country, we definitely have goals to continue to build on that diversity. So that section talks about some of the specific programs we have in place, such as the Bridge to Faculty program, or the Target of Opportunity program, or the Underrepresented Faculty Recruitment program, the Pipeline to an Inclusive Faculty program, and we also list a couple of the University of Illinois system programs that we can also tap into. So that's able to show we have clear strategies and we have programs in place that are at least moving the needle in the right direction. This section also discusses a university's equity report that we submitted at the state level that lays out some of our goals and some of our strategies, and that's also discussed in a later section that I'll talk about 4C. So that's the diversity aspect. Sufficiency, bottom line is we have a lot of faculty and instructors. I'm sure we always are looking for more, but as far as our student ratio, it's pretty healthy compared to our peers. As far as the student faculty ratio, as far as faculty qualifications, we emphasized a new policy that expanded an existing policy to provide verifications of educational credentials. It had been in place for academic professionals in some categories of instructors, but now, as of earlier this year, it's in place for all instructors. So we were able to point that we're using the proper policies from the state of Illinois and from the Higher Learning Commission. We have people with doctorates teaching or terminal degrees teaching at the graduate level. We have people with graduate degrees teaching at the undergraduate level. We have people who are teaching, say, general education or something. If they're teaching something that's not dead on within their discipline, we can point to the fact that they have 18 credit hours of graduate coursework to justify that teaching assignment. As far as evaluation, we pointed in particular to the work of a couple committees that have been trying to generate a new momentum around faculty evaluation, including a pilot happening this fall in terms of student evaluations. So that was one of the areas we were able to point to. Of course, we pointed to the promotion and tenure process and to the annual review process. As far as professional development, a lot of that understandably was focused on the Center for Advancement of Teaching Excellence and its technology partnerships. That is one of those stories of improvement we have to tell, that quite a lot has happened, partly pushed by the pandemic, for us to strengthen our input, and particularly in supporting online teaching, but also more generally in providing a range of voluntary resources for faculty to draw on, again, as they develop their courses, their syllabus, their teaching methods and such. Also, we talked there about some of the certifications and resources available for graduate students who are asked to teach, and showing again how intentional we are in that respect. As far as professional development, so that's the professional development, excuse me. In terms of accessibility to students, we point to the obvious office hours, drop-in hours, but also the way that I advise can facilitate some of that process. This is definitely one of the areas where, as the site visit takes place, faculty members and college administrators want to have in their back pocket their answer about how do students in their college find it easy to access faculty and find faculty therefore responsive to those interactions. And then the last aspect of 3C, again, make sure, particularly for financial aid and advising in our students affairs staff, can we point to, again, intentional training programs that make sure that they're not only knowledgeable about policies and the rights and responsibilities in dealing with students and student data, but specifically that they're well situated to meet the students where they are and make sure that they're able to access the services that are in place.
And I'll briefly do 3D, being cognizant of the time. 3D is around institutional support for students, both their learning and resources for effective teaching. That's divided into 4. I just noticed that the last one should have a 3D4 on it. So student support, which is the institution provides support for the needs of the student population. One of the things that we cited there was our different offices, which include, of course, the financial aid office, student leadership and civic engagement, college-based career offices, UIC career services and such. The second is really around learning support and placement and advising. And as you all know, we have our iAdvise system. We also have structures in place for that, for cross institutional understanding of advising, like the Council on Assistant and Associate Deans and the Advising Leadership Council, which we cited. The last, which is number 4, is really around the institution providing students with the resources for teaching and learning. And so there are many spaces across campus that we cited here, including the UIC libraries and the Center for Advancing Teaching Excellence, technology labs, and things like our open textbook initiatives.
And to be brief on the kinds of questions that reviewers might ask, there are a couple kinds of questions there. One are the typical questions drilling down. Do you do what you say you do? So the questions there related, for example, to progress in faculty diversity or our syllabus and faculty qualifications, policies and such. But sometimes the reviewers will ask questions just to get us thinking on our feet and see what will we say. So that last question, how do students at such a large university navigate the many programs and resources available? Again, it's nice not to be caught flat-footed on questions like that. And we can point to a lot of tools. We can point to advising, both professional advising, faculty advising. We can point to orientations. We can point to web resources. We can point to omnibus online presences like our tutoring website or our academic coaching website, or all the resources that are organized within iAdvise itself. But it's nice to be able to say, I have never really thought about that question, have that not be your answer, but then instead be able to say, well, absolutely, we recognize we have a wonderful array of services, but students do need some help sometimes navigating this. In my department, this is how we do that.